So at NAB 2023, there was a lot of new technologies and new products that were at the show floor that I was really excited about. However, the one company I was probably the most excited about to see and talk with was Qfinity. And Qfinity is a Chinese manufacturing company that has been specializing in very high-end tech cinema cameras at a relatively affordable price range at the modern day average independent filmmakers. Today I want to talk about 3 key reasons about the technology that is unique to Qfinity that has made me really excited about it, and this is consistent across their entire line, including their new entry-level camera, the Mavill S35 Mark II. What up, everybody? My name is James Jackson. Thank you guys for joining me. If you're new to my channel, I'm just a dude who loves cinema, who loves the work of film, the art of film, and I love just talking about it and sharing my knowledge and experience in the world of filmmaking as a filmmaker and cinematographer. So if this is content that you like, please definitely hit the subscribe button and also help me combat the algorithms by hitting that like button before you leave. Also, if you for some reason hear some noise or some movement or have me see me looking elsewhere in the background, my sister's cat is staying with us this week, so I am going to be, he's down here with me, so just be aware of that. But as I mentioned at the top of the video, Qfinity is the one camera manufacturer out of all the camera manufacturers has really intrigued me. Initially, it was because just how gorgeous the image looks coming out of this camera. And from everything I have read about it, everything I've heard about it from every other person who's had a chance to use this camera, the Qfinity line of cameras are probably the line of cameras that are the closest to replicating the look and feel of an Arri Alexa camera. Now, it's not similar to an Arri Alexa camera. It's not as the same latitude as an Arri Alexa camera, but it does have a look and feel that feels very similar, that you can easily intercut it between Arri Alexa footage. But even with that, there are some unique features about these lines of cameras that I personally am very intrigued by, and where there's really isn't anybody, not even Arri or Sony or Red or Canon or anybody else that I've seen that carries out these features. The first one I want to talk about is the 3.2 open gate options that they have. Now, most of you are probably wondering, how is that a unique feature? Because so many cameras are now offering that. Panasonic has been offering open gate for so long in so many of their cameras. Fujifilm is offering that in their X-H2S. You got Zcam. Obviously, you got Sony with the Venice and the Arri Alexa. How is it unique? Well, what makes it unique is the fact that it can offer this 3.2 open gate system in a 12-bit format, shooting at higher frame rates than normal speed. Now, this will fluctuate depending on the camera you will choose, but each one of the cameras can shoot at high frame rates in 12-bit ProRes. Now, if you look at cameras like the X-H2S and Zcam and Panasonic, they all can shoot open gate, but they all have limitations. With the Panasonics, they only shoot in 10-bit 420. With the Zcam and the X-H2S, they shoot in ProRes 10 bits, but it only tops out at 30 frames a second. The Qfinity cameras, such as the Mavill Edge 8K, can shoot 8K 3.2 open gate up to 50 frames a second. Actually, I believe it's 55 frames a second. But either way, you can have the chance to do at the very least 2 times slow motion. And then you can look at entry-level cameras like the Mavill S35 Mark II. That camera can shoot 3.2 open gate up to, I believe, 75 frames a second or 70 frames a second. Really, the only other cameras that actually give you the ability to shoot in a 12-bit format at higher frame rates, the only other option you have is the Sony Venice lineup and the Arri Alexa lineup. They're really the only other options. The Arri Alexa 35, which I recently got a chance to take a look at, allows you to shoot 4.6K open gate up to 60 frames a second, and I believe the Venice will allow you to shoot 6K open gate up to 60 frames a second as well. So understand that just with that option alone of 12-bit open gate ProRes 444 at high frame rates, it's right now sitting in a class that that only the top end cinema cameras have, that I'm fully aware of. But what makes them so unique compared to even those cameras is the fact that you can actually oversample or downsample the open gate into smaller resolution formats. Meaning you could shoot 8K open gate on the Mavic Edge 8K, and you can downsample it down to 4K and still use the full sensor readout. Now, the second thing that makes it very unique is the highlight control option. And I was able to talk to Sarah just a little bit about it, but the thing that makes this so unique and so cool is the fact that Kinfinity gives you the option within the menu to actually change how your latitude will perform depending on the scene that you have. So you can shift more stops into the highlights or more stops into the shadows should you want to, and should you, depending on the scene. Really, the only other person that actually allows you to do this is Red with their Red RAW codecs, and you have to shoot Red RAW in order to do this. Kinfinity, on the other hand, is allowing you to do this in a 12-bit 444 ProRes option, so you don't have to use a RAW workflow should you not need it. For most of the cameras that I can see, you can shift the latitude up to about 6.3 to even 7.3 stops into the highlight of exposure to highlights, and this is such a cool thing to have because this allows you to really get the camera set up to the best performance of your scene. So if, let's say, you're doing a horror film and you're trying to keep the lighting to a very, very minimum, and you're really trying to see into those shadows, you can put all your dynamic range as much as you can into the shadows, and then you can basically really play with the levels of shadows in your scene. Maybe you're shooting a scene of doing an interview and you got a window. Well, now you can dedicate some of those stops into your highlights and shift them up there. Now, obviously, if you shift more to the highlights, you will be throwing more noise into the shadows. You just have to be mindful of that. You got to be mindful of that with your lighting, and also just possibly with some noise reduction process in post. Now, some cameras, like the Pocket Cinema cameras, allow you to shift your dynamic range into the highlights and into the shadows, but that is based on the ISO that you use. With the Kinfinity cameras, you can do this with the native ISO. So you can set it to whatever the native ISO is of your camera, and then you can just shift it how you want, making this camera a true ISO invariant camera. You can basically, meaning if you want to clean up your blacks, you can just bring the ISO down to the minimum and it doesn't affect your dynamic range at all. Because like cameras like the C70, if you were to go below the native ISO, this dramatically affects how your highlight roll-off works. While you do get clean blacks, your highlights are much more harsh and the roll-off is not as smooth as it would be at the native ISO. And the last thing I will say that's very unique to this system compared to every other camera out there is the mount system. Kinfinity built their own mount system in here, and you can use the Kini mount, which allows you to go ahead and shoot things on E-mount, EF mount, PL mount. They have adapters for all of these with their mount system, and you can just adapt them, so meaning you can use all these different cameras. But with the most recent announcement of cameras, they actually now launched another series of mounts that are basically native to the camera, meaning you could take the Kini mount off and put either an active PL mount or an active E mount to the camera, which opens your variety of lens options to almost infinity in terms of options that you may have. So you can get an E mount and then just get an EF adapter and adapt it, or you can get the Kini mount and get the EF, or you can get the PL mount if you want to just go PL. There's just so many variety of options that you can use in terms of mount systems, which opens the door to amounts of lenses that you can use with this system, which can open up your creativity to no end. And these three things are just so unique to this camera system, and all of them can use it, no matter which camera you can choose. There is some things that I'm concerned about obviously support because this is still a new company, but I've been told by Sarah and her team that there is a strong support system in Burbank, California now, and also they've now got points in B&H where you can purchase these cameras directly. I'll leave links to orders if you want to purchase these cameras from B&H. I'll leave those links in the description below. So the system is growing, the support system is growing. I know that's concern. It is concern to me, but you know, given the level that I've talked to this team and talked to the people, the US reps at NAB, I've built more confidence into this and why I'm really anxious and excited to try out and test out this camera system. The only other thing that I will say that is a potential pullback or something that you should be concerned about is that the modularity to set it up and get it how you want to can come at a very high cost, depending on what style you get. For example, the Mavill S35 Mark II, the body alone is rated to be at $4,000, but that is only without a mount itself, meaning you have to purchase the mount separately, and then you build the kit how you want to, and building the kit out can bring you to as high as a total of $13,000 from a camera that started off with a $4,000 base. It's business, and business is business. I just looking forward. I hope Confinity will really look at finding ways to make the entry into building a solid workflow system with their cameras and how to get more people at access to it without completely blowing money out of the water in order to do it. Because to me, this is probably one of the most exciting camera manufacturers to come out in such a long time because the powerhouse that they're packing. I say this wholeheartedly with much conviction as I can. These cameras are really made to be rivaled against ARRI Alexas, and that's truly meant. That's what they're aiming for. I really hope for nothing but success with Confinity because the tech that is coming out of this company, I truly believe will push other manufacturers to really step up their game. But this is it for me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Leave your comments below. Is Confinity a camera manufacturer that you guys have kept your eye on? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, until next time, take care everyone.